Welcome, everybody, back to another episode of the Transgender Plan, your go to podcast for transgender history. As always, I'm your host, Mari, and it is a pleasure to be back here on this beautiful Sunday evening with all of you. I would like to say that I apologize for last week that I didn't have a video, I'm sorry, a episode prepared for you all last week. Last week was my birthday. I was out with family and friends for the entire week and weekend, so I really didn't have enough time to go out. Not really go out, but I didn't have enough time to record an episode. So I'd like to say I apologize for that, and I should have gave you all a heads up. This is really why I'm trying to hire a social media manager because I I need to be able to tell you all this via social media. And with my extremely crazy schedule, starting being Pride Month, preparing for Pride Month, I I didn't get a chance to get around to it. So I apologize for that. Um, if you want to know, yes, my birthday was great. I had a good time. Um, I spent, like I said, very close time with family and friends. Went out on a nature kind of day for my actual birthday, and it was exactly what I needed. Really, I don't really do too much for my birthdays. I'm very laid back, enjoy myself. Thank the man above for giving me another year, and kind of go from there. It's not nothing too crazy. Really, the only time I like celebrate maybe is a birthday is during milestone years. Um, I just turned 26, so it's not like anything too crazy. So I just enjoyed, like I said, my time with family and friends, like I always do. So I had a good time. Like I said, I apologize for not giving you all the episode last week, but we're back today. We're back today. Uh, to get started, I would like to thank everyone for listening today. If you are a new listener, I would like to welcome you to the Translation Plan podcast. I will give you a breakdown of what you expect from this podcast momentarily. But before I do, I would like to also thank my returning listeners. Without you all, as I always say, this podcast would not be what it is today. Our subscriber and listener count are continuing to grow every single week. So I just thank you all for one, subscribing if you are a subscriber, but also two, for continuing to listen, to share amongst your friends or family, and to keep the Translation Plan ship rolling. Thank you. For our new listeners, if you are new here, like I said, the Translation Plan podcast is your go-to podcast for transgender history. Our podcast is not, just about history, but it also serves really as a platform for education. I want to provide you all with valuable insights into transgender history, but also the issues faced by the transgender community from not only today's modern times, but from decades ago. We aim really to inspire understanding, promote inclusivity, and really spark conversation about transgender history and issues. So you're getting expert knowledge from myself to further your learning, really, right? Each episode is intentionally designed to be concise yet comprehensive, with a duration about 15 to 20 minutes. Sometimes it goes a little over, but really it just gives you something to start with and learn more along the way. So for all of my new listeners out there, welcome. I hope you love today's episode. If you do, don't forget to subscribe at the end once you finish listening. But also too as well, don't forget to tell a friend, family member, or just another ally. Maybe that might be interested in learning. So today we'll be diving deep into the late 19th century to really explore the fascinating story of the Cercle Hermaphroditos, which is a society that has had a significant impact on transgender history. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. The Cercle Hermaphroditos, established in 1895 in New York City, stands out as an extraordinary organization in history. It is arguably the first known organization for the advocacy of transgender rights in the United States. Named after the Greek god Hermaphroditus, which is really a amalgam. I'm gonna say this so wrong, and I probably should Google translate this before I try to pronounce it because I always gotta hear it again in my head before I can continue. To give you all the word I would like to say, amalgamation of the divine male and female. There we go. That's why I always have Google Translate ready to go. This society was a harbor for individuals who identified as androgynous, or people who did not really fit into the traditional binary or binary of male or female. Androgynous is not really a new word. It's very common. A lot of people use it today. Um, you may, depending on where you are, have a different enunciation of how you say androgynous. So that's just I think the correct term came from France, if I'm accurate on this. And I can't pronounce it because I have a very terrible dialect now in American terms, and not American, but in the English, my English dialect is terrible. But androgynous is really, like I said, the modern day word of the French terminology that it came from. Now, the Cercle Hermaphroditos was the earliest organization in the U.S. to focus on what we'd now refer to as transgender social justice issues. However, it didn't seem, my apologies, to have really a lasting impact or directly inspire any succeeding organizations. It was not really until mid 20th century that transgender communities started to link with influential networks, leading really to the formation of enduring organizations and the foundation of a social movement, and meaning that we either have studied or that we know of actually today. Now, this society was really ahead of its time, to be completely honest with you. It was advocating for those who were often misunderstood and marginalized, which we still see today. And really, the mission of the Cercle Hermaphroditos was to unite, well, quote, unite for defense against the world's bitter persecution. And to really prove that androgynous were perfectly natural, not aberrations to basically look down upon. And the society was a beacon of light. It was literally aiming to combat prejudice and ignorance about gender identity. This is a mission that continues to resonate in our modern day transgender rights movements that we know of. Now, the Cercle Hermaphroditos was not just in it was more than just a society. It was a haven, a refuge for those who dared to defy societal norms. And although the details about the society's activities were not really but are scarce, it is well established that the Cercle Hermaphroditos was instrumental in the initiation of collective transgender activism. It provided a safe haven for those who transgressed gender norms, offering support, camaraderie, and understanding in a time of widespread social stigma and discrimination. Now, despite being short-lived, the Cercle Hermaphroditos left an incredible mark on history, and one that we really should not be able to forget. And its impact reverberates through the annals of transgender history. And it laid the groundwork for future advocacy groups that we know today, and to set really a mark for the fight for understanding, acceptance, and equality and equal rights. Now, if you are new here, I always like to do a very quick kind of like key takeaways every time I do an episode. Really, just so that people can get like the very basics of what you should gain out of an episode. So to get started, I would like to say that the Cercle Hermaphroditos was a groundbreaking organization, standing really as one of the earliest known advocates for transgender rights. The society provided a safe haven for those who define gender norms. Like I said, being able to offer that support and that understanding during a time where social stigma was big, discrimination was big, but as you all know, that's still something that we deal with even today. So it's not something that's like gone, but like I said, it kind of just left its initial mark in providing that safe haven for those who were a part of the community. And like I said, despite really being very short lived, the society's impact can really still be felt today because it kind of sent its energy into the current trans organizations that we know of, the advocacy groups that we know of that's fighting for us now. And it set that stage for our groups, our advocacy groups, to continue this ongoing fight as we continue to let the trans community know that they are seen, that they've been heard, and that we, for those who are very well versed in LGBTQ plus history, know that we've been here for a very long time. So what we really just want to do is fight for equal rights, right? And another thing is that early advocates were pioneers in the face of adversity, right? So with Cercle Hermaphroditos and being the society that it is, that courage and resilience that they did from when it first started back in 1895 continues to really inspire people today as well. And I want people to really think of this, right? And I'll kind of reiterate it a little bit. But remember that this journey that we take together as a community, whether you're part of the trans community or not, whether you're an ally or, like I said, a party, just the entire LGBTQ plus scope, is that within it, we have to learn how to understand each other a little bit more. But even outside of it, teaching our allies or our allies that might take the time to actually learn about us and what our struggles are like and what our experience is like also takes a little bit of some time to gain a better understanding. Our history is not something that's automatically put out there. Yes, social media exists now where we have the ability to look up books, read books, look them up too, journals, oral history. We have libraries that kind of carry our history. And another thing that a lot of people are not familiar with is museums, right? Now, I know a lot of the main LGBTQ plus museums aren't really in a lot of, it's an accessible, my apologies, locations. Like a lot you will see in like New York, LA, what's the one? Florida, Chicago. They're there. But when we think about our community and how our community has an issue with finances as a whole, not everybody, but kind of like a general scope, it is hard for people within our community to be able to have access to that. So it's just a continuous journey to understand each other and to hear more stories in order for us to get a better idea of what our history was like. That's basically what I want to say. So as we kind of dive deeper, read into the history of Cercle Hermaphroditos, we encounter stories of courage, resilience, and also defiance. Like I said, these early advocates, in the face of great adversity, paved the way for really the future generations that we know today. And because of that, they made significant strides in a society that was far from accepting, especially back in 1895. And their legacy right now is a testament to their determination. The Cercle Hermaphroditos is going to be a reminder, really, of our collective journey towards acceptance and understanding. It reminds us of the struggles faced by those who really dared to be different and the courage it took to stand up for their rights / our rights, because it kind of still takes on to today. So as I conclude this episode, I would like to take a moment to honor those unsung heroes of Cercle Hermaphroditos. Their courage and resilience continue to inspire countless people around the world. And their actions remind us that the face of adversity, it is possible to bring about change. Might not be right away because we're still fighting today, but change has happened, and change is going to continue to happen as we continue to go um, years and years and centuries on. So, with that, I would like to thank you all for listening to today's episode. As I mentioned here, if you are new or if it's been a while since you listened to an episode and you're just not getting back into it, you can follow us on social media. And yes, I'm looking for a social media manager, but still follow the page so that once I get all that together, you all can be the very first to know. But follow us on social media. You can follow us at the Trans Lesson Plan on Instagram and Twitter. You don't have to put but at Trans Lesson Plan. I should have said that a little bit better. It's also in the bio of this episode. If you'd like to follow the host, me, Mari, you can follow me at mariiiwrld, MAR3IWRLD. I am getting into the video podcast now, so I'm recording this episode by video, but I'm still kind of testing out the ropes on how I want to kind of format it. But this episode will be on my YouTube channel. That's also at mariiiwrld. If you don't already follow my YouTube, as I always say, don't forget to tell a friend, a family member about this podcast who might be interested in learning more about transgender history. As I mentioned before, it's supposed to be concise yet comprehensive. I want you all to take what you learned from this episode and take time to learn more about it. Like, I don't want to give you all the answers, but I do want to give you all a nice chunk of it and what impact it had on our history. Just as a heads up. So tell a friend, tell a family member. But thank you all for joining me on this enlightening journey towards transgender history. Like I said, shapes our past, our present, and stories like this continue to help us understand our journeys as it relates to being someone who identifies as trans. But I'll be here next week, I promise, with a brand new episode of the Trans Lesson Plan. And I hope you all have a great rest of your Sunday evening. Happy Pride. Happy Pride. And I can't wait to give you all a lot more content for the month of June. Be safe. Enjoy your Pride. And I'll see you all next week. Peace.